Hi everyone, goldfries here, and in this video we'll have a look at the Abkoncore Cronos 510S. Now you might have heard of this Abkoncore brand because I've covered it during Computex, and this brand is available in various parts of the world, including Malaysia. And if you haven't heard of the brand yet, well, you probably heard of it. You will hear of it soon, and you've seen their casing as well. This is a Korean brand, and they are working with AVF under the brand called Gaming Freak. I'm sure you heard of Gaming Freak, right? So over in Malaysia, this Abkoncore brand is with Gaming Freak. So this model here is the Cronos 510S that retails at RM 299, which is quite a nice casing for this price, but it's not perfect. Let me go through the details. The thing is, before that, let me make it clear that it's quite difficult for me to just focus on one area without touching the others. So bear with me if it gets a little bit confusing. So let me start with the front. So the front, as you can see, I've removed the side panel. But it comes with a tempered glass side panel. So again, we gotta start from the front. So the unique design of the 510S. Now, if you see my eyes are looking elsewhere, that's because there's a screen on my recording device, and I'm looking at the arrangement. All right. So this is the unique design of the Cronos 510S. So on here is a rectangular piece that has RGB lights, and apparently the sides here are the intake. And one thing I noted is that the sides, the parts where the lights come out, it's a bit rough. Now, for this place, it's the front panel is removable. My concern is that while the design, even if based on the specs, is supposed to be the vent for the airflow, few things you need to consider is that one, it does not have any dust filter. Two, the holes are quite small. And three, by default, this casing comes with a singular spider fan. You may click on the link above to watch my review. So it comes with a single exhaust fan. Exhaust, right? Yeah, it's exhaust. So being a single exhaust, it means that by default it comes with negative airflow. And the tempered glass, one thing I like about the tempered glass is that it comes with padding over here. So not only it it dampens the sound. You see, when there's a padding here, means there's less sound escaping. It also tightens it, so air is definitely will not be much coming through here at all. So the air will be from the front or wherever else, but it will not be from the front just yet because you are currently by default on negative airflow. So if you were to add fans at the front, then it will be pulling in air with that not so big gap, and there's no dust filter. Speaking of fans, the front you can mount up to 220 or single 140 radiator. Yes, you can 240 mm, up to 240 mm. For the top, according to the specs, you can mount up to 240 mm fans, but for radiator the size is up to 240 mm. But even so, I feel that the space is kind of tight. If you look at how the gap is from the ceiling to the motherboard's first mount, if you are to put any AIO on top, it will actually be covering the board, which I actually don't like this kind of configuration, simply because if I were to need to remove the board, or even in some cases the RAM, I don't like it that there's a radiator and a fan there. You see, it's so near the top. Typically the DIMM slots will be around here. It is possible to have your RAM and the AIO in conflict. Now, since we're talking about the insides already, let me just highlight that. It is nice that it comes with rubber grommets over that side. Over here, 4 rubber grommets, very good. And then there's a power PSU shroud here that covers from front to back. And on the this PSU shroud, there's 2 cutouts and there's rubber grommets on it. Those are really nice touches on the casing, and it even comes with a vertical GPU mount, and there's a cutout here in case you want to show the brand of the power supply. At the back, here I'm a little bit disappointed because for casing that retails at RM299, it does not come with individual PCIe bracket covers. It comes with that type that you have to peel it off. And the problem with this type of the peel off type is that once you peel off, you can't actually put it back. So you need to get your own set of covers. But they have this part for the vertical GPU shroud, vertical GPU alignment, but then it's using that the type that I don't like, the cover on the top. And again, this kind of the PCIe cover is the type that is not the removable type. You know, you have to pry it open, and once it's open, and if you don't want to use it, you have to find your own brackets to cover. So that's pretty much for what it is. And let's look at the back. On the back, this the front here, there's the 5.5-inch drive base, and here there's 2 for your 2.5-inch SSDs. And speaking of which, the gap I measured which from the highest, or more like the overall depth, is about 2 centimeters, which is, I think, good enough for cable management. I recommend using flat type of cables. It's good that you use modular power supply with flat type cables that will minimize your need to arrange the cables. If you're using non-modular, there's plenty of space around here, as long as your power supply isn't too long. Typically, the long power supplies are of higher wattage. I don't think you'll be running high wattage power supply and having this kind of casing. This is just my thought. It's an RM299 casing. It's not high-end, it's barely even mid-range. Speaking of which, the frame, it's something befitting of a casing that comes at RM299. It's not the weakest I've seen, neither is it tough. If you compare it to, let's say, Cooler Master's Master Case series, now those are really solid, like my Master Case 5, that's really solid. But of course, those casings cost more, even like those fractal designs around beyond the $300 RM mark. I'm using RM. So $299, that comes to maybe about 80 US, if it's found in the US, that is. I'm not sure of the other markets. So this one is currently based on Malaysian market. And with that, I've covered pretty much the casing. Oh yes, one thing to highlight. There's dust filter on the top. There's dust filter at the bottom at least. But sad to say, there's no dust filter at the front. With that said, let's look at the setup. So this is my setup for the Cronos 510S, which you see is pretty sufficient for the average gaming PC. In fact, there's sufficient space for you to put long GPUs, and actually you can put high-end specs in there. Not a problem. Just that bear in mind that this casing is not that long, and that the 3.5-inch base are quite near to the power supply area. So if you're running a long power supply, you will have a bit of problem there. Or for non-modular power supplies, you might be also having, I mean, there's place to route it around. It's just a bit cramped there. But overall, casing of this price at RM299, I'd say it's all right. It's not fantastic. To cap it, to recap of what I mentioned, I like the touch, as in it has this rubber padding, which I find will dampen sound and won't be having much or at all any dust intake from the cover over here. The concern will be the front, where I don't think that there's enough space for airflow. That you still get airflow, but it could have been better. But as with my review with the Spider Kit, you know, my summary of the Spider Kit was that it's not so good in performance, but it looks nice. Same with this casing. I think that this casing here is less focused on performance. Looking at the openings, the openings at the side here, which is for the, you know, under this RGB light rectangle thing, I find it's limited. And based on my experience, I think there will be slight bottleneck or slight starvation of air. The air will still flow, but it will be far less than compared, let's say, with a mesh front, you know. And then there's also this lack of dust filter. Not only there's airflow, there's very little holes for airflow. Dust will be another issue. So if you are running a radiator, very likely that, it shouldn't say likely, it's more like it's a sure thing that your radiator will be the area where dust accumulates. Or even if dust does not accumulate, it might be accumulating by the sides. But the holes are, how you say, I'm going to have a close-up view of this thing so you can see that the holes, they are not tiny types, but so dust I don't think will be hanging around there. But there's many of them vertically in alignment. They are not small holes, but then there are not too many of them, so that is why I say airflow will be limited. It's again difficult to tell you how it's going to be like. So here's the performance benchmark of this casing with the side panel closed and with the side panel open. At the front, I've mounted some fan units, and we'll see. This is the result I get. All right. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. For the Abkoncore Cronos 510S, I am giving it a bronze badge. I'm the type that prefers performance over appearance. If you like the appearance, definitely this casing, I dare say that when it comes to modding potential, it has modding potential. Look at the front here. You can change the color and put stickers or whatever designs that you want. It's very good for personalization. And imagine you have a design on the front and a design on the side. I think it looks really cool. Performance-wise, as you can see, it's okay. It's not as bad as you think. But in the end, regardless of how it is, I'd say bronze badge. It's not a bad casing. Definitely, I'm not penalizing it for anything, but it could have been better. Maybe a little bit more space at the front, give it more room for the air intake and a bit more space. I personally would like the casing to be a bit bigger, you know. Give me a bit more space. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And Happy New Year. Bye-bye.